We don't think that the way for us to win more championships is as a customer team.
We are racers, we are a racing team.
Meant to be professional sportsmen.
We know that McLaren and Honda will improve. You really believe in the team, and you have to believe in the team.
I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Been in business for 50 years, and therefore we have to take long-term decisions.
And one of those long-term decisions is to sign myself, a rookie, into Formula 1 to partner Jenson Button for the 2016 season. We know 2015 was not a great year for McLaren, poor reliability, poor pace all round, but 2016, it's going to be different. This is the start of a new foundation for McLaren Honda, and we hope to bring them back to the top. We'll start easy in this first season. I think our objective will be hopefully to get at least one podium. It might take all the way till the final race, but we're going to try our best, and this is the start today. The Australian Grand Prix. Guys, this is it, the start of my F1 2016 career mode. It all begins here. Let's get into it. So obviously to kick off the career mode, doing the customization of our player, choosing the player face, the helmet, a little number in yellow, blue and purple, and then my race number of number 4, because my favourite number is number 7, but I couldn't choose that due to Kimi Raikkonen. And then we met up with my PR agent on Thursday. She talked me through my contract and all the little bits that she'll be doing for me around the paddock to try maybe get me a better contract in the future, although for now I am tied down to McLaren for at least this season as the second driver to Jenson Button. We then went on to tyre allocation. Wasn't too sure which one to pick, to be honest. The first ever race weekend on this game for the career mode, so I went with balance. Just thought I'd go for that kind of medium ground, just so we don't kind of shoot ourselves in the foot maybe with any sort of strategy we could or couldn't do. And then we moved on to the very important part of the race weekend right off the bat, which was practice. Obviously in this year's game, a very important part now is the new practice R&D program, and so we have to try our best to maximize points every single weekend for this R&D program. Obviously being McLaren, being in our situation with Honda, we want to upgrade the engine, we want to maybe lower the weight of the chassis. All these things we can do with the new R&D points, but we need to go out there and earn them ourselves with a bit of elbow grease in practice. So we did the track acclimatization, which is basically getting used to the circuit, getting the car up and running, so that we did that perfect 50 out of 50, all 50 points there. And then we did the tyre management test, which we passed. We didn't completely pass it with flying colours, unfortunately. Got a few laps in there that weren't the best according to my engineers. Speaking of engineers, we then met up with my R&D engineer back at the paddock, and we discussed how everything's going to work for this season with McLaren. Obviously we have quite a tough job ahead of us. We looked at the research points I collected in FP1. You can see there 648, which I don't think it's too bad of a tally there for just FP1, and that will get us plenty of points to actually spend on a new upgrade path. So that was it for our meeting. We then moved on to actually choosing our very first upgrade, and I went with chassis weight, because obviously that will drop the weight of the actual entire car itself, the chassis, without any kind of effect on anything else really. And so that will hopefully allow the Honda engine to be a little bit faster and push our car a little bit faster down the line if there's less weight to actually push around the track. And then finally we moved on to FP2, where I eventually did my qualifying runs. We managed to do a pretty okay job and pass that, so 30 points in the bag there for the qualifying pace, and we got some more R&D points. But then that was pretty much it. We didn't manage to do a perfect one for qualifying pace or the tyre wear management, but I just left it there. Didn't feel like I could do enough, and I wanted to move on to qualifying. So speaking of that, it's time to go to the qualifying report. On Saturday, Lewis Hamilton was the one to take the first 2016 pole position away from his teammate Nico Rosberg 2.5 tenths back. Behind the Silver Arrows, the top 6 all lined up in 2s, with Verstappen pipping Ricciardo for 3rd and Raikkonen outdoing Vettel for 5th. Interestingly, Vettel and Ricciardo were able to get into Q3 on soft tyres, meaning they will start the race on that compound. Aarava finds himself in a Williams sandwich in 8th place, dragging the car beyond its performance perhaps, with his teammate Button lying down in 12th. And finally, Hulkenberg rounds out the top 10, just ahead of an ecstatic Gutierrez, who lines up his Haas car in 11th place. Looking at qualifying in general, the only other surprises were one Sergio Perez, who got knocked out in Q1 in 17th place by Jolyon Palmer in the Renault. So that's the story of qualifying, which sets up the first race of this career mode and season. Right, so here we go to the race, and obviously the first thing we had to do was the race strategy. So looking at it, my engineers wanted me to do a 2-stop with super soft, then soft, then soft, and then the other strategy looks a little bit crazy, not gonna lie. That's a 3-stop with 2 super softs and then 2 softs. So completely ignoring the medium tire, which we didn't really run too much in practice apart from the track acclimatization. So maybe that was why my engineers couldn't factor that tire in. So maybe something to think about for the next race weekend if we have to, maybe want to do the harder tires, have to run all of them in practice for them to factor in a simulation for the strategy, but at the moment you could see I tried to adjust it to maybe see what I could do, but it looks like at the end of it, the best option was probably going to be this 2-stop, the super soft and the 2 softs. In a way, we might have just kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit by qualifying in the top 10, because we have to start on the super soft tyres that we qualified in Q2, obviously. Otherwise, my teammate, like Button, who didn't qualify in Q3, he starts on the soft tyres. I believe also Sebastian Vettel managed to break into the Q3 session on soft, so he starts on those soft tyres he qualified on. So quite clever from the German in the Ferrari. But you can see on screen now as we do the formation lap, obviously, I think the formation lap in this year's game is going to be a good way for me to just talk about the race and talk about what's going on in the race weekend. You can see the R&D points I got finally after FP3 and qualifying as well. You earn points from qualifying, so those are the points there. You can see the rivalry between me and Jensen. At the moment, I'm comfortably leading by a few points there, and so hopefully in the race today we can do that as well. And then the team standing at the moment looking pretty good on 7 at the moment, the max being 10, and you can get into the purple, which is pretty much secured driver position on 8, so we're doing pretty well there to be only 1 point down from that. But that's the formation lap. Heated up the brakes, heated up the tyres as best we can, and now we'll go and form the grid for our very first race in this career mode in the McLaren Honda. So here we go to 5 red lights for the Australian Grand Prix, the opener to 2016. Build up the revs, dump the clutch at 5 red lights, and we're underway for the first race here. Raikkonen's got a poor start. Massa has got an even worse start as we've overtaken him. We're up into 7th place. I can't believe this. We got a great start on an F1 game for once, and we're up into 7th. Into turn 1 we go. Vettel got pinched out by his teammate who was having a look. He was having a look at Ricciardo, who also bogged down. So nice to see a lot of AI cars also having some varied starts with the new clutch system as Massa comes down our inside. Obviously the Williams got some great straight line speed. We go down the inside of him though and keep it tight, and we're going to keep 7th place for now as Massa is going to keep on looking at us, because obviously that Williams car, as I mentioned, is going to be pretty damn good versus us in a straight line drag race. And here he comes again down later on into lap 1. He comes very, very close to our left tyre, nearly touches it, but he's up into 7th place, and we can't really do too much. I tried to maybe hang it through and try and get a good exit off on the back of that chicane to maybe try and launch an attack down this back straight, but it's just not going to work. We just don't have the straight line speed, and you can see there the Force India actually pulls out. I think that's Hulkenberg there, yeah. He pulled out on the right hand side to maybe have a look at us. So at the moment we're sort of like prey to the cars behind us, and on towards lap 3, 2 laps later, eventually Hulkenberg's got the pace now to go right around the outside on the right hand side, and then Bottas comes on the left. We're getting squeezed out here, and we might lose 2 positions in the span of a little straight, although we'll go side by side with Bottas, and we'll just get the place back up into 9th place. But a very hectic start to this very first race, and now our teammate is right behind us for good measure. So at the moment, struggling on those super soft tyres. All these guys behind us, I think, are on soft, or at least Button is right now, and so we're going to do a bit of a teammate battle straight away. No waiting around for a teammate duel as we come down the main straight onto lap 4. We squeeze Button to the right, brake early, let him go into turn 1, then do the switchback line. Beautiful traction there into turn 1, and we get back up into 9th place. But Button's not done yet. He's still going to try and go around the left hand side, and here comes Bottas with DRS as well. We've got some DRS to help us defend, and we do some great braking into that corner, and we're going to keep it in 9th place for now. And looks like Bottas behind us has got Button, so maybe a little bit annoying for him. JB, we've kind of squeezed him out there and not made it work for him, but I wasn't going to give that position easy. We have to do the job right now, because we're going to be in the softer tyres. The strategy we're on is all about being aggressive, and so as we move on to lap 6, you can see we're right behind Hulkenberg. So after he overtook us, we actually got some good pace. Looks like his tyres start to wear out quite a bit as he comes into the pits that lap, so pretty damn obvious that his tyres were wearing out there compared to us. But then on the very next lap, our tyres were starting to go on super soft, so we come in for the very first time for the manual pit stop on the pit lane, just about to slow it down there, and now we'll come down the pit lane. A very long journey, obviously. McLaren unfortunately down the pit lane this year for 2016. I've been too used to McLaren being further back down, obviously, as they were further up in the constructors in previous years. But they go on the soft tyres, the yellow wall tyres, so we're going on for another set of those later on the Grand Prix. But we're making one more stop. We'll see what everyone else does. I have a feeling maybe the top runners might even try a 3-stop, because they have the pace, obviously, and we'll see what these guys are doing around us who are already on soft tyres since the beginning of the race, like Button. Also, Vettel was also. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see where Sebastian Vettel falls into all this with his very interesting strategy, starting on the soft tyres. But we move later on into the lap, onto lap 9. We're closed up to Pascal Wehrlein, and a very familiar name, obviously, from my driver. But can we try and overtake him this time in the Manor car down the inside, the second last corner? He doesn't put up much of a fight here. I suspect he's been on those tyres since the beginning of the Grand Prix. So really, in hindsight, it would have been stupid of him to really fight me too much, because otherwise he would have just worn out his own tyres. And now we're up into 15th. You can see Sebastian Vettel there hopefully you could see he was behind 2 Red Bull cars, so the hope is that he gets held up by them, and that is exactly what happened, because on to lap 11, 2 laps later, not only 2 Red Bulls, but a Sauber who's going slowly, getting overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo there going around the outside, and we're going to go around the outside of Sebastian Vettel, a very, very unorthodox place to try and make a move there, but Vettel going a bit slow, getting really caught up by the dirty air of Verstappen, so we had a little bit of a look, unfortunately couldn't make it work around the outside, as Vettel just had the superior traction and downforce through that right-hander, but through the final corner, he's really getting held up by dirty air from Verstappen. We get a beautiful run, get the DRS, get really in the slipstream of Vettel here. He's going to get held up. The Sauber on the left, going to make it really awkward. We go down the inside, Sebastian Vettel, down the inside of the Sauber as well on the soft tyres. I suspect, much like Berline, he's been on those tyres since the beginning of the Grand Prix, and we do make 2 places up in the span of 1 little straight and a corner there, so awesome stuff. And now we're behind Max Verstappen, but on to lap 13. Vettel comes right back at us eventually. Once he's past the Sauber, he goes round the outside into this next corner. He's going to keep it side by side with us, so he'll give up a good fight, and obviously it's going to be very difficult to try and keep this place from the Ferrari, and just through this next corner on the right-hander, he gets it, swoops through, and he's up into what will be 8th place now. We're in 9th place as people have made their pit stops finally on lap 12 to 13 there, but you can see immediately as soon as we lose that position, Vettel just bolts off there into the distance, so it was always going to be a futile effort to try and maybe hold back a Ferrari, but the hope is in, a season or two's time, if we're still in the McLaren, if we've still got a contract with McLaren, hopefully we could fight the likes of Ferrari eventually when we upgrade this car. But moving later on to the Grand Prix now, lap 18, so quite a few laps later, we're just doing the job on the soft tyres best we could. And you can see Raikkonen on the medium tyres overtakes us. He's on a very different strategy to us, he's in a very different race to us, and he just comes waltzing up and gets us very, very cleanly into the chicane. We tried our best to maybe fight him back around the outside, but it just wasn't going to work in that second part of the chicane. And you can see the Williams car of Bottas now onto lap 19 is right behind us on the left hand side. Now he goes trying to make a move around the outside, will defend, and there's been a virtual safety car has been called, so not a safety car, the virtual safety car, so that means that the race is neutralized effectively, and in theory no one will lose places. But as we move later on to the ending of this virtual safety car through onto lap 20, you can see Bottas gets a really great run through turn 1, and I actually muck up the traction there, and it means unfortunately I am actually going to lose some time under this virtual safety car, and I was actually meant to pit on lap 19 there, so this virtual safety car has actually screwed me over a little bit, because it means I'm going to have to do the rest of this lap now on very worn soft tyres, and I wanted to come in that lap, so we go later on to that lap, finally into the pits, but that's really going to hurt us actually, because we might lose a bunch of time there just for the fact that we weren't going very fast on lap 20. But yeah, that second stint after we got overtaken by Vettel was very, very quiet up until lap 18 there, unfortunately. Just really didn't have anyone around me, just doing my own race, trying to put in the lap times. But now we come in for our final pit stop, our final set of soft tyres again. So these will go to the end. We are down the order a little bit, so basically we've just got to use these softer tyres compared to other guys who I believe are on medium tyres. The white wall tyre, the slower tyre compared to us. You can see there as we pan through, the Renault and the Force India definitely were on medium tyres ahead of us, and I don't believe they are making another pit stop, so we have to do the job out on track here and push hard. So we've cut later on onto lap 23, right up against the banana coloured car of Kevin Magnussen in the Renault here. Can we try and make him move? He's on medium tyres. I think he might be trying a one stop here, so he should be pretty worn on these tyres, so this should be a pretty easy move in hindsight. So here we go down the inside of the right hand, where we tried to make the move on Vettel earlier on, but now we go down the inside of Magnussen and we're up into 15th place, and now we'll push on and try and catch up Hulkenberg. We have done so 2 laps later onto lap 25, and can we try and make it up into P14? We'll go through the second last corner, could make a move there, but through the final one yet again we'll get a really good run on another AI car, just like we did on Vettel. Open the DRS and look at this. Now with some DRS we're actually able to get cleanly past the Force India with that Mercedes engine, just with a good run and DRS thankfully. So kind of nice that we're able to overtake these cars actually this easily, because I don't think it's going to be something we need to get too used to in this season, unfortunately. But we move later on, 2 laps later now, so again just 2 laps catching up to cars, and we caught up to Gutierrez in the Haas Formula 1 car. Can we try and make the move as fast as we can to maybe just try and hope we can maybe gain more positions through the right hander? We gain quite a lot on Gutierrez here. We're going to swoop very aggressively down the inside on this right hander, and we're up into 13th place. Very nice move there. And as we move later on though, unfortunately, you can see in the top left there is quite a sizable gap to Valtteri Bottas, unfortunately. He's on super soft tyres, and also the cars ahead of him are all doing one stops for like the kind of last few points paying positions. So unfortunately we're going to move later on onto lap 29, the last few corners of the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has won the race, and unfortunately we're going to finish this first race off in the career mode outside the points. Just, I think our team really have shot me in the foot really with the strategy call, because the 2-stop really wasn't the one to go with. But at the same time, in hindsight really, I might have shot shot myself in the foot because I got into Q3, I had to start on the tyre I set my Q2 time on, because that's the rules in Formula 1 at the moment, and that was a super soft tyre. Button, you know, the likes of Perez, all them, they got free choice because they didn't even get into Q3, and the likes of Vettel set his Q2 time on soft tyres and did get into Q3, so really the strategy just didn't work out for us today, unfortunately, and it's just one of those things. It would have been very, very tough to make it work. We sort of had to hope that those guys were also doing a 2-stop, but they all did 1-stops ahead of me apart from Bottas, but he had the genuine pace being in a Williams car. So yeah, there's your podium. Lewis Hamilton wins the race, Rosberg in second place, Daniel Ricciardo comes home in third place at his home Grand Prix to make it a pretty sweet podium. But yeah, I mean, a fun first race, but a little bit unfortunate we didn't get in the points. Button only managed to get 9th place anyway, so only 2 points there. I think the best thing we can take away from this race, though, is that we know where we need to improve. General kind of downforce, but also just the speed in a straight line, obviously. I mean, that was kind of obvious from the start, but I think we definitely know that we have to make improvements, and I think the chassis weight, the upgrade we've done for next race, is going to be the right step forward that we need. But you can see in the constructors at the moment, we're there behind Toro Rosso with the 2 points Button got today, so hopefully the hope is by the end of the season we can try and fight and get ahead of the likes of Toro Rosso, Force India. Maybe I'm hoping, you know, it might be a bit of a push, but hopefully one of the top 4, maybe the likes of Williams if they're lagging behind a bit. I think Red Bull, Ferrari probably a bit too much, but I'm being very optimistic there probably, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, even after that race, we're still ahead of Button in the rivalry, still ahead of him as we got the fastest sector times there in that race and the fastest lap compared to him, so at least that's a promising thing. But unfortunately, in the driver position compared to our team, in terms of what our team think of us, we've moved down 3 points there because obviously we didn't meet all 3 objectives, so a little bit unfortunate there. The relationship's kind of swung back in a bit of a roller coaster from a really good high to quite a bit of a low because we're only 1 point down from the red there, so hopefully next round we can kind of rectify that. But guys, if you've enjoyed this first episode of F1 2016 Career Mode, smash that like button, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're new around here, then subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. Guys, if you want to see a second episode of this F1 2016 Career Mode today, later today in the evening, then let's try and get this video to 3,000 likes. That'd be absolutely crazy, and if we can do that, I definitely will upload a second episode straight away today in the evening around 7 PM or 8 PM. So let's see if we can do that. Little challenge for you guys, but thank you very much, guys, for watching my first ever episode of this F1 2016 Career Mode. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it today, and I'll see you guys next time or for the next one. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.